to the EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. Thanks again for joining us for another great edition of the EQ Video Tip. Before we get into this week's tip, let's review the goals of EQ Video Tip. What's on tap this week? Well, we have a great tip from Jessica Stillman, who we've used before, and she talks about your brain can't absorb or handle more than 5 projects at once, and that's according to science out there. So what does that mean for us? Well, we're all builders here. We're all trying to grow and build businesses either within a company or our own company or themselves. When you're doing that, we have to be able to focus, and focus is really important. And if we're doing more than 5 big projects at once, it's going to be hard for us to handle this. Jessica is going to give us a few tips on how to identify what those projects are and how to handle it to ensure that we're successful in our new venture and don't take more than 5 projects on at once. Tip number 1, that magic number 5. Well, where does it come from? There's actually research at the University of Liverpool that 5 is the magic number in terms of projects that we can handle at once. And why is it 5? Well, think about it this way. Whether you're in scheduling or marketing or accounting or software development or project management, we work on projects, but we rely on other humans to help us complete those projects. So, for example, you might be waiting for information from someone on project A and project B. Well, at the same time, you need to deliver project information for project C. So at that moment, you have to wait for 2 projects, but at the same time, help someone complete a 3rd. This gives us the ability to multitask in a sense that we're working on multiple projects at once. Where it breaks down, though, is once we get past the number 5, we have a diminishing scale in terms of returns to our investments. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to focus on those 5 projects and not more than that. I'll come back with a couple tips on how to focus on those 5 right after this. Tip number 2, if you can't obey the rule of multiple projects or less than 5 projects, here are some tips. The first thing is try to be mindful. Keep a list of what you're working on, what you're not working on, and understand when you hit that max of 5 that you can say to one of your coworkers, hey, I'm at 5, I'm overwhelmed, it's not going to work. Now, sometimes that's not going to work for you as well because there's just so many projects coming in. If that's the case, try to find a specialized area within a project that you're good at. So make sure that you're focusing on a certain specific area that you're going to dive deep and understand that area, as well as maybe delegate some of those projects to other people. Again, the best thing you can do is be mindful of where you're at, but if you can't, again, find a specialty for you as well. Tip number 3, find similar projects to the ones that you're working on. If your brain's doing the same type of work over and over again, you might be able to handle more than 5 projects at once. For example, if it's accounts payable and you're constantly paying different bills to different vendors, you probably have the ability to handle more than 5 projects at once. Whereas if you're doing software development, marketing, sales, and 5 other things at once, it's going to be very hard for your brain. So if you can, try to group those projects together to make your life easier as well. Our last tip, try to keep the people you work with as consistent as possible. And it's important to do that. There's a few reasons behind it. One, it builds grit because you're building social connections between different teams and you understand them. It's not just the technical and logistical aspect of it as well, but by seeing familiar faces in projects, it saves you time from lengthy introductions to misunderstandings to just understanding how you work with one another and that human interaction, which is really important. Even just little things like clarification as well. I know it's not that you can always work with the same partner or the same team, but if you can try to work with similar ones, it will help you out and maybe increase your ability to work with more than 5 projects at once. Hopefully this helps you out in terms of multitasking. Thanks again for watching the EQ Video Tip. Again, these are some great tips from Jessica that she wrote in her article this past week. Hopefully you like them. Take them, make them yours as always, and we look forward to seeing you in the next show. Thanks again. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating
some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.